Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Agency Side Podcast. I am your host, Justin Levinson. Today, I'm joined by Dominick Paielli, co-founder of the Clementine Group and CreatorCore. Dominick has been at the forefront of connecting brands with creators, building platforms and partnerships that drive culture and business results. We'll talk about his journey, the evolution of the creator economy, and what agencies can do to keep pace. Thanks for being here, Dominick.
Thanks for having me, Justin. Super excited.
Yeah, man. So to start things out, maybe you can just tell us about your two projects here and what you guys are doing.
Yeah, definitely. So I'm Dominick Paielli, as Justin mentioned. We are currently building a talent agency as well as a B2B software platform, both in the creator economy. So been building for about 5.5 years now in the space. And yeah, just love what we're doing here, building the agency and also helping other agencies with the software. It's something that, we get to do every day. I'm very thankful for it, not just building our agency, but also helping others.
Yeah, maybe you can tell us how you got into this particular space.
Yeah, so it's a bit of a story that takes me back to college, actually. So I went to school at Loyola Marymount, played soccer there. For those that don't know, LMU is based in Los Angeles, out on the bluff. And while I went to school there, this was my freshman year, had met some people in the TikTok industry, people that were making content and struggling with management. That seemed to be something that was there, but not fully there, especially for TikTok. So fast forward to 2020, COVID happens and we get sent home, packed up my dorm. I went back to my hometown, which is in a small town in Northern California. That's where my business partner and I grew up together. We're friends growing up. And he called me up one day and was like, "Hey man, do you want to start a business?" I said yes. And we landed strictly on, TikTok management. So really helping these up and coming influencers because of all the things that I was hearing out in LA. I figured we could help them out and give them a safe place to, create content and grow their careers.
Yeah, what was the first steps when what was the first move? You guys have this plan, this business. How do you start tackling it?
Yeah. So back then, it was, figuring out what services we could provide. And then it was me just Instagram DMing tons of
Mm,
creators every day and really just asking, like, hey, I'm building this thing. Do you want to hop on a Zoom sometime this week? This is when Zoom culture became so big. And I was just hopping on Zooms with, creators every day. Not everyone was moving forward or testing it out, but that was it. Just, hopping in. And also Nick, my business partner, his parents were nice enough to let him turn his bedroom into a mini office for us. So we were showing up every morning and just working out of his office, doing that.
what were you looking for in terms of the people you're reaching out to at that time?
Yeah. Anyone that just seemed like committed. So posting consistently and really taking it serious because we were taking it serious and we wanted to build with people that also were taking it serious. So it wasn't like a specific niche per se, but definitely just consistency.
Yeah. And you'd get how many replies? Did you get a lot of response for those cold Instagram messages? And were people pretty receptive to it, or they're like, "Who the heck are you?" Kind of thing. How did that response go?
Yeah, some of it was who the heck are you? I think, in the early days when we were doing it, it was early enough to where, some people were like, wow, this is the first email or DM that I've ever gotten asking about management. Something that helped was I had met some people in LA that were in the hype house era or doing super well on social media. We follow each other on Instagram. So there's this thing on Instagram, it's like followed by XYZ. And so that helped give some
Mm,
sort of like, okay, this guy's friends with this person. So therefore, maybe he has some credibility. I think that was something that helped a lot in the early days as well.
yeah. Were there any other ways of connecting with creators besides the Instagram messages? Were you also no, you probably don't do cold calls, but were there some other ways to sort of get their attention?
Email is another great option. I think DMs were a little bit more personal,
Yeah.
but the first few signs were the hardest. Once we had that, we realized that creators are friends with other creators and
Mm.
they made introductions, and that kind of led to our next group of signs, which, once we got past that hump, it was super helpful to have that.
Cool. So when I guess after you've built up a roster of talent, What sort of the move now?
Yeah. So brand outreach. We brought in one of our friends from high school. His name is Ben. And we were like, Ben, you're going to be our first intern. Showed up at the office every day. And we were just cold reaching out to brands all the time, trying to get in the door and start landing some brand deals for our creators. So that was pretty much the next step. I mean, we did go then, get incorporated and all that stuff around that time as well in the early days. So yeah, those were like the first initial kind of steps.
Yeah, when you were in college, did you think you were gonna start a business like this? What was sort of like your direction while you were in school?
Yeah, so it's a good question. So I studied business entrepreneurship, so that lined up a little bit there. But I was there to play soccer, and that was like basically my dream. My whole life playing soccer was to play in college, and got to fulfill that dream for a short period of time. But I thought that going into it, I was going to play soccer all 4 years, maybe think of a business idea after school, otherwise maybe go the marketing route. Did not think that it was going to happen as quickly as it did. And we all didn't know COVID was going to happen either. So
Yeah, do you feel like coming from a competitive background that helps you in business to have that sort of fierce competitive, drive in you?
100%. Yeah. It definitely gets me, fired up to keep pushing. And I think the other thing that sports and especially soccer being a team sport helped me realize is the importance of building a team and having really like-minded people around you that are building towards the same goal. I
No
think
pun
that,
intended, right?
yeah, exactly.
What position did you play?
So I'm a lefty. Anything on the left side was pretty much my bread and butter. I was a winger growing up on the left. And then for school or for college, I got recruited as a left back.
Cool. Nice,
Yeah.
that's awesome.
Yeah.
Cool. So I kind of have an idea of how this has come together. Maybe you can explain a little bit in terms of, because I know we're still talking about like the infancy of the business, in terms of reaching out to brands. What was your friend's name again? From Ben.
Ben.
What was Ben's strategy, and did he have a background in like reaching out to big brands back then?
Not really at all. You just kind of, one thing that we've established from an early day is our brand and how much our brand can help us stand out when talking to brands. So we would make, brand sort of proposals and we would custom brand them to the, brand we were reaching out to. We'd put our touch on it. So I think the strategy was not just an email, but like, hey, here's something tangible that you can look at that we prepared for you. And so that was kind of our strategy. It was utilizing our brand and getting ourselves out there.
Yeah, maybe you can describe that to me a little bit more in terms of what that reach out looks like. What if I'm on the receiving end of that back then? What does that sort of proposal kind of look like?
Yeah. So really first thing is us figuring out like who's in charge of spend here or, working on the influencer side. Okay, now that we have our people, do we have their email? Let's reach out to them and kind of introduce ourselves like, hey, we're the Clementine Group. We represent up and coming. At the time, it was mainly Gen Z influencers. So this is our target sort of audience. Here's how we're different. Here's what we're building. And, we'd love to, potentially work with you guys or pitch some influencers for your upcoming campaigns. So just trying to figure out, are they spending? And at the time, it was so early that people really weren't spending as much on TikTok, certainly not as much as today. So
Yeah.
that was something that we had to think and keep in mind.
And how long did it take to get the first win? And could you tell us about that?
Yeah. So I would say probably took 1 or 2 months before we got first wins. Funny enough, I would say our first big wins started happening in music, which we were targeting brands. And then it started happening in music in the early days. So record labels were spending a ton of money on TikTok and still are today, promoting their new singles, new albums for their artists and working with influencers to get placements there. So we started getting reached out by a lot of agencies who were doing these. They're called song promos in the space. And we were like, oh, this is interesting. A lot of our creators are using audios on TikTok. This could be an interesting space to expand upon. So my earliest win that I remember was more so actually in the music space, but the biggest win for the company in the first 6 months was landing a Discord contract. So that was something that I did some cold LinkedIn outreach. They said, shoot me an email. We made a proposal. We hopped on a call and we were able to land a pretty big budget for Discord, which was their first ever TikTok campaign. And it was so special to be able to like say that we were helping run, their first ever TikTok campaign.
Yeah, that's exciting. I mean, I know you have a business background, and you obviously incorporated. You weren't just like, you know, going in this whole event as a complete novice. But in terms of like writing contracts and making sure everything is kosher, and did you guys? I mean, did you feel like that's sort of like straight to an attorney, or like did you kind of have an idea of what these contracts were going to look like and how they were competitive with like other? How did you sort of like figure that part out?
Thanks for tuning in, folks. This episode is brought to you by Coming Up Creative, a relationship-first boutique creative recruitment agency. We disrupt the creative ecosystem by running sophisticated, multi-channel campaigns with custom video and voice outreach that actually gets responses. We actively market the agencies and brands we represent to help them stand out to today's industry's top talent, all backed by real human connection and AI-powered targeting. If you're ready for a modern recruitment approach, visit www.comingupllc.com and get started today.
Yeah. So our first biggest expense when we started the company was our management agreements. So we hired a law firm to draft those up, which we had, really no basis for like, what does that look like? And even some of the attorneys that we had talked to are like, this is so new to us that we're not really sure, but we got an entertainment law firm that helped us with that.
Yeah.
And for Discord and some of those, it was like, hey, here's our general agreement. And we didn't even have to draft one up. And then, we had to obviously review that and then send it through. But some of that just kind of happened to be luck, I guess, for us there.
Yeah. In terms of scaling the team, I guess as soon as you start getting more work and more things are kind of coming together, how is that process? Where does that take you when you kind of need more hands on deck? And are you kind of a lean, mean team, or do you have quite a big team at this point?
Yeah. So at this point, Clementine is 17 now. We have one more person joining in 10 days. So yeah, we're a team of 17, which is a lot bigger than I would have anticipated when we first started.
Yeah.
But to your question, it started with one hire because my roster was getting pretty big and, it was a lot to manage. And I wanted to make sure that every creator we managed felt like they had that one-on-one connection with their manager. As soon as I felt that scale tipping a little bit, I told Nick like, hey, we need to go find someone to help me out and co-manage this roster and, help us put more pitches out there. So we hired our first full-time employee probably about a year and a half in, maybe a little bit longer. So it was Nick and I for a while, just kind of running and
Yeah.
gunning. We were also in school, so it was just a lot on our plates. But that first hire really showed us like, this is the route that we need to go. We need to continue building the team and bringing on like-minded people.
Yeah. And now on your, I mean, I noticed on your site that now creators can apply to go to you, I guess now. So, I mean, was that always the case too? Did you put up a site and have sort of like an inbound way for creators to come to you? Or is it sort of like you built your roster, now we're going to let them come to us inbound? Or how does that work? Are you still recruiting talent? And what does that look like for someone who might want to be a creator for you?
Yeah. So I think we've had that up since maybe one of our earliest iterations of our site, just as like a catch-all, but we are still recruiting. We have a creator operations division that's basically a full job is outreach to new creators, take calls, tell them about Clementine and get them into our network one way or another. So we're definitely still recruiting, but a lot of inbound does come in nowadays just from other creators and either telling their friends or just coming across their bio and seeing our email and looking us up and, you know, maybe getting some interest in applying.
Yeah. Are most of these creators able to work with you? Do you like them exclusive typically, or are they able to work with other management firms as well?
Yeah, so we have exclusive representation. We manage around 100 creators exclusively right now, but we definitely are very open to non-exclusive relationships with creators as well. Just with the deal flow that we get, there's oftentimes we can get other creators on campaigns that we're working on. So it's very nice to have a big network of creators that maybe we don't even represent.
Yeah. I'm curious to learn more about how technology plays in all of this because I was looking a little bit about that aspect in your business as well. And curious, yeah, maybe you can explain it probably better than I can.
Yes. My business partner, Nick, has a development background. So he used to build MVPs for Silicon Valley startups and, just started learning at a pretty young age how to code and build products. And so while we were building Clementine, pretty much entirely operating out of Google Sheets. And about a year in, year and a half in, we looked at each other and we're like, there's got to be a better way to do this. At the time, there was no talent management software really at all out there. There were some big enterprise platforms that, quite frankly, were just too expensive for us at the time. And so Nick said, why don't I just take a first stab at trying to build something for us to manage all of our campaigns and, be able to provide better reporting to our clients and all these things. And so, of course, I agreed, let's do it. And we spent probably the next 6 months working tirelessly on this, I mean, Nick, on this product and, me providing my best insights into what we should build. We launched our V1 of it, definitely had a lot of things that we need to figure out, such as bugs and whatnot, but it proved that it was going to be a really good solution for us. And so we continued iterating on it, building a second version. And by the second version, we knew like we had something special on our hands and it was a great internal tool for Clementine. And some of our peers started like asking us, hey, can we white label this? This is a really cool product you built. We need something similar. So we said yes the first couple of times. Hey, we'll white label it for you guys. Go ahead and use it. Let us know your thoughts, any feedback, feature requests that you have. And this is probably 3.5 years ago at this point. It got to the point where we had a few more people come and ask for a white labeled version. And so we realized that there was a definite need for this product in our space. And that's what led us to CreatorCore. And basically we were like, let's rebuild this whole thing from the ground up, but have it be a more broad range of, customers that we could serve, not just talent managements, but other types of companies as well. And so Nick spent the next 6 months while we were still working on Clementine, building this product. And we launched CreatorCore in February of 2023. February, March was like our first customer.
Wow.
So yeah, that's really, it came from our own issues that we were facing as a company in the space.
Yeah, no one's going to know those more than you working in the industry yourself. And did Nick do this all himself, or did he have to build out a team, or was that a big investment to create the software?
Definitely a big investment. Creating software is not cheap, but having Nick really enabled us to take this on. So he built pretty much the entire platform, or the first iteration, and now we have a great team of developers and other people at CreatorCore that help build this. But yeah, he built the whole first version.
That's so cool. And so now a lot of different, you've got a lot of, it's a subscription service. So I'm guessing a lot of people are using it that way.
Yeah, so it's a subscription, and we pretty much work with anyone that's running influencer campaigns, whether they're an agency, a brand, a record label, to a talent agency. That's kind of the scope of customers that we have.
That's awesome. Man, that's super cool that you were able to do both those offerings. I imagine when you guys were starting that wasn't. Do you think that you guys were going to be doing both of those things, or was it sort of just like kind of came to be?
The software came to be for sure. It was not even in the cards or on our mind when we started.
Man, that's super cool. And are you guys a fully remote company, or are you guys doing in office stuff? How's that look?
Yeah, we are fully remote and have been the whole time. And yeah, that's something that, we talk about a lot is, can we get an office? Do we want to get an office? But I think what's helped us a lot being remote is team trips. So we do at least one full team trip. Last year, we took the team to LA. The year before was Palm Springs. So we try and do one gathering a year with the whole team. And then, SoCal based people, we're trying to meet up more frequently. But the team trips have definitely been the best investment we've made.
That's great. Do you guys have any other collaborative tools that you use besides the ones that you're kind of making yourselves? What sort of kind of keeps the engine running for team collaboration virtually?
Yeah. So Slack is where most of our communication happens with the team, and then just team meetings. So whether it's like a side meeting or a full team meeting, those are the best ways that we're kind of keeping in touch and getting face-to-face time.
Yeah, that's great. And I guess, where do you see things kind of moving forward? What's like the big goal? Do you guys have any big sort of goals on the horizon and moving into any new territories, or yeah, what's the future kind of looking like?
Yeah. So I would say signing more talent is first and foremost a big one for us. Our talent managers have been doing an amazing job, but we've gotten growing interest internally from other people wanting to become talent managers and take on rosters of their own. So I think growing the, talent, the amount of creators that we're working with, and then getting into talent ventures. So helping them start brands, helping launch podcasts. But these are all things that we see being really important for a creator's career outside of just your typical brand deals and whatnot.
Yeah, that's awesome. How I'd be curious to know how does the whole scope look in terms of like a deal with a brand and a creator? I mean, I don't need logistics that you're uncomfortable explaining, but is this sort of like is it is split up in percentages typically, or what does a creator kind of expect to get out of a situation that you might be able to if you put them in get them involved in something exciting with a big brand or something?
Yeah. So, typically I would say the process of back and forth with a brand is us negotiating a deal and trying to get the best rate that we can for our creator that's both fair and representative of what they would get. And then, obviously presenting that to the creator, hoping that they accept, and then helping coordinate and execute, redline the agreement, all that stuff for that particular deal. Now, a typical relationship in the agency space is going to be about a 20% commission split. So a creator could expect that whatever the deal size is, 20% will go to the agency like ourselves, and the remaining 80 will go to them.
It's kind of high level sales. You're dealing with two different parties and trying to bring them together. Do you ever have like, is there pushback sometimes where you have to get creative, where you have to go back to the brand and be like, hey, talking to the creator and they really want this, like, can we make this work? Or the brand is saying this is all we have for the budget, and this is it, and you have to go back to the creator and be like, hey, you should take this opportunity because it could lead to something new. Might not be as much as you want, but you should do it. Is there some of that going on?
Yeah, that happens every day. It's such an important part of the job to be able to mediate both the creators, desires and what's fair to also what the brand actually has in their budget, because oftentimes that is all that they have, or maybe they're going to make room and make an exception, but they want that content to be the upper echelon, and now we have these expectations because we were able to secure that higher rate. Managing that is a daily sort of process that we're going through.
Yeah, I imagine it really is a win for everybody though, because it's like, if you're a creator, I imagine not only you getting compensated to be creating, which is wonderful, but you're also potentially tying yourself to a really exciting brand, and I'm sure it's building your resume as well. Is that correct?
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's really important to, and we do part of the software that we have is creating media kits. And on those media kits, you can display past collaborations. And I think a brand seeing like, oh, they worked with so and so and they worked with so and so. That's a similar brand to me. I think that's really important in terms of that negotiating and just, them wanting to activate that creator.
What looks like a successful campaign? Like what kind of return on investment are brands kind of expecting from you in terms of, what's a win, I guess?
Yeah. I think like for us, a lot of it comes down to a CPM for a creator and a brand. So basically how many views they got versus how much was paid to the creator. There's a lot of affiliate stuff going on nowadays too. So how much they converted on their post. We don't do as much affiliate stuff, but I know that's a heavy metric that brands are looking at. So I think a successful campaign is something that is delivering quality content that the brand can then go use for ads, but also get a placement on your profile and you exceed your average views. So if you're getting better views than your typical video would get, that's what the brand kind of went into it knowing. So hopefully that is exceeding, expectations, and that's a win for the brand.
Totally. And who has say in what the content is actually going to be that is created? Who's got coming up with that?
Yeah. So oftentimes that's the brand or the agency of record for the brand that will come with a brief. Everyone is different though. Some are more on the side of we want to put the creative control in the creator's hand because they're the creator at the end of the day. They're going to make the best content. But here are some do's and don'ts. So just make sure you incorporate that. Other times it's very strict of, hey, we want this type of content. Oftentimes because they're trying to relay a certain messaging or they want to push that video on ads. So they want it to be very particular. So there'll be revisions and back and forths to get it right. But there's a definite line of where do you fall on the creative control.
Yeah. I mean, now you're adding another element, which it seems like you're really, when you talk about high level sales, now you're dealing with the brand, you're dealing with the talent, and then you're dealing with somebody who has influence over, the whole project as well. So I imagine getting everybody on the same page all the time can be challenging. I'm sure you're sharing a lot of information and massaging a lot of relationships to make sure things have good outcomes.
Yeah, we're pros at being in the middle and figuring out how to relay information. That's, communication is so key. That's what also makes a great collaboration, a great creator, is how well do you communicate with us as your team, and then how well can we relay that information to the brand. s- Timing is everything. Sometimes there's something viral going on and they want it live quickly. So if a creator's not responding or the brand's not responding, that can, be the difference.
Fascinating. Cool, man. Well, I guess like outside of this, a creator economy world, what do you do to keep yourself sane? Just outside of work?
Yeah. So recently I've been getting into pickleball a little bit more. So I like pickleball. I like going on walks, listening to podcasts, just being outside because I'm, sitting in my room most of the day working. And I think just movement is so important for your mental health, and just keeping yourself sane. So the gym, pickleball, any type of movement really outside is like what I've found to be the best.
Do you think you do any pickup soccer matches anymore, or is that behind you?
So it was for a while, but I actually just played for the first time a couple months ago, in a little pickup league with some of my old teammates. And I'm hoping to get in their league that starts back up, I think in the fall here in September, maybe. So you might see me back on the field here soon.
Sweet. I love soccer. I was absolutely terrible at it. I was really fast when I was young. I ran like the 100-meter dash and like 55 meter. So I was like a sprinter. I couldn't really do the long, but the soccer teams were always trying to recruit me to play, when I in high school, because they're like, oh, dude, you should be like you should be a right wing. Like, dude, you're so fast, you blow everybody. And I just had no ball handling skills. So I could get the ball and blow past everybody and it could be just me and the goalie 2 feet in front of him and I'd shank it off like a mile to the right. It was just like, I was like the equivalent of like Happy Gilmore, to soccer. So unfortunately I was not good, but I respect the ball handling skills and the speed and everything that goes into that team sport. So I tip my hat to you.
Thank you. Yeah, it's honestly been such a great part of my life and one that I hope to continue keeping a part of my life. So that's why I'm trying to get back into it. And yeah, I really love soccer and a lot of other sports too, but that one's special for me.
Yeah, your family must be pretty pumped for you and all this success in your business. Do you have a lot of supporting family members and friends that have been proud of what you've achieved?
Oh man, yeah, I could go on and on about the support from my family and friends, but they truly have been a rock for me, in this whole process. I vividly remember when I first had told my parents that, I was considering potentially quitting soccer. And then, when I also was like, I think I should take a gap semester and see how this goes and really put my full attention towards it. And they were so understanding for something that they invested so heavily into in my childhood for soccer to get to that point. I'm sure it's not easy for any parent to hear that you want to give that up. I think, my parents really understood how much time I put into soccer growing up to get to that level. And they realized that if I was willing to give that up and to pursue something else, then I must be really confident in what I'm building or what I'm going to do. And so that support from them was, that meant the world. That gave me that green light to just go for it.
I love it, Dominic. Well, cool, man. I really appreciate you being on the pod here and offering some insight and value and sharing your story with the community. It's really a pleasure to speak to some younger entrepreneurs on the pod, and just yeah, it's just been a great conversation. So thank you so much for being here today and talking with me.
Thank you for having me. Yeah, I'm super excited. It's my first podcast. So kicking it off with the best here. So I appreciate it, Justin.
Awesome, man. Well, have a great day. Appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All
Yeah.
right, man.
Have a good one.
Bye.